Good evening, students. As we discussed yesterday I introduced the topic the rise of nationalism in Europe. Yesterday we learned about the two questions. First question was what was the idea behind the Frederick Soros paintings and how he depicted his message through the paintings. And second question was what is the difference between the nation state and the modern state. Today I am starting the first part of this lesson. The name of the topic is the French Revolution and the nationalism. So here we have to think about some basic questions about the nationalism. The first question from this topic is how did the French Revolution introduce the feeling of nationalism in Europe? So here the answer is, as we know that French Revolution was the first clear expression of nationalism in Europe in 1789. As we all know, in 1789, Europe was full-fledged territorial state under the rule of absolute monarch, and whatever may be changes, means all the political and constitutional changes lead to the transfer of the sovereignty from the monarch to the body of the people in France. In this way, the revolution proclaimed that henceforth the people will constitute the nation and they only will decide the destiny of the nation. It means now onwards, not monarch but the people will run the country. I hope, is it clear to everyone? Our first question is how did the French Revolution introduce the feeling of nationalism to Europe? After that, when we learn that French Revolution is the first clear expression of the nationalism in Europe, definitely they would have used some practices, some techniques to inculcate, to develop, to create this sense of common belongings in the Europe. So the next question is, what were the techniques, what were the procedures, what were the measures adopted by the French revolutionaries to create the sense of collective belongings in France? And the answer is, number one, they introduced the idea of la patrie and la citoyenne. So, the la patrie means the fatherland, means they personified their country as a fatherland, and la citoyenne means in the rule of monarch, the citizens of the country or the people living in that country were considered as the subjects of the monarch. But in the French Revolution, all people were considered as citoyens, means the citizen of the country, means people were transformed from the subject to citizens. After that, they decided the French flag, which was replaced by the royal standard. Then they composed new hymns. They commemorate the martyrs, all in the name of the nation. They started rule of law. Rule of law means everyone is equal in front of law and law is equal to all. They decided the uniform standard measures of weight and measurement. In this way, they tried to establish equality among the people. They tried to give the political rights to everyone on the equal basis without any kind of discrimination. Means all the people were considered as the citizen, and they tried to draft their constitution for the nation. In this way, they transformed their country from monarchy to republic. So in this way, the second question we cover up, that is, what were the practices adopted by the revolutionaries to inculcate the feeling of the nationalism in Europe. Now the next question is, what was the aim of the French Revolution? So revolutionary, they proclaimed further that it was the mission and the main aim of the nation to liberate the Europe from the despotism. Here despotism means the system of the government, especially by the ruler who exercise the power in a cruel manner. Means, in other words, we can say, to help other people to become the nation. Means they wanted to help other countries of the Europe to become the nations, means to transform themselves from the monarchy to republic. So in this way, when this news of the success of the French Revolution reached to the other countries, the students and the members of the other middle classes, means other educated middle classes, they started forming the Jacobin clubs. You remember all that in 9th standard we learned that Jacobin clubs were the most powerful revolutionary clubs, political clubs in France during the French Revolution. So in this way, there all the practices, there all the activities prepared the way for the French armies which moved to the Holland, Switzerland, Germany and most of the Italy during the 1790s. It means whatever may be changes happened in France, that was the very short-term measure, because we know French Revolution happened in 1789 and in 1804 Napoleon Bonaparte reintroduced monarchy in the France. And in this way, when revolutionary war broke out, these revolutionary armies carried the message of nationalism in the other part of the Europe, means they carried the idea of the nationalism abroad. So in this way, after the revolution, Napoleon Bonaparte introduced monarchy in the France. He was very ambitious person, he was very efficient ruler, and that's why he introduced some reform to increase the efficiency of the government, to make the government more responsive for the people, and his reforms are known as the Civil Code of 1804, or in other words we say that it was called as the Napoleonic Code. So in exam you will have the question, write a short note on Napoleonic Code or the Civil Code of 1804. Now here you have to remember which points should cover in this question. The first part of that Civil Code was he side away or he removed all the privileges based on birth. We all know that French society was divided into the estates, clergy, nobility and commons. And clergy and nobility, these two upper classes, they were enjoying some privileges. Privileges means rights, which were not given to the commons. These two estates were not paying the taxes and all the taxes were paid by the commons. So this system of these estates was removed by the Napoleon Bonaparte. He established the rule of law, means everybody he considered equal in front of law, and he secured the right to property. Here the right to property means everybody was allowed to enjoy their property peacefully, subject to general interest, as well as they are supposed to pay the taxes to the government. In this way, Napoleon Bonaparte introduced these three terms. Again I am repeating. Number one, he removed the birth privileges, he secured the right to property, and he introduced the rule of law. Along with these measures, he tried to remove the feudalism. He tried to free the peasants from the serfdom and the manorial dues. In urban areas also, he removed the restrictions, guild restrictions. Here, guilds are the traders associations. These trading associations, they were very strong and they were not allowing new traders to set up their business in the cities. And because of that, Napoleon removed these trade restrictions, and allowed all the new traders to set up their business. Along with that, he improved the transport and communication system. In this way, all the people, means workers, peasants, artisans, and all the businessmen, these all people enjoyed this newfound freedom. Now, particularly the producers of the small scale producers of the goods, they began to realize that this uniform laws, standardized measures and weights have helped them, have facilitated them the movement and the exchange of the goods of the capital, exchange of the goods and the capital from one region to another. In this way, Napoleon Bonaparte introduced some good measures in France. So now the next question is, we saw that Napoleon Bonaparte introduced so many good measures to make his government efficient, but still all the countries were not happy with his measures. Means all the area under his control, the reactions to the Napoleon's rule was not satisfactory, it was mixed. Means some people were happy and some people were not happy with the Napoleon's rule. So the next question of this topic is, why were the reactions of the Napoleonic rule was mixed? Means why the reactions to the Napoleon's rule in Europe were mixed? The answer is, in the initial period, Napoleon's army was welcomed as a harbinger of liberty. Here harbinger means messenger, liberty means freedom. Means when Napoleon started his rule, he wanted to win whole Europe. So all people thought that he is the harbinger of liberty. But after some time, they realized that his rule, means all the measures introduced by the Napoleon's rule or the advantages given by the Napoleon's rule is actually overweighting the advantages, because Napoleon increased tax. Means here again 3 points we have to remember. Increased taxation, means Napoleon increased tax. He introduced censorship. Here censorship means before publishing any public matter, you have to take the permission from the government. Means the people were not allowed to criticize the government. So number 1, increased taxation. Number 2, censorship. And number 3, forced conscription. Here in textbook word is conscription, which means recruitment. Forced recruitment in French army, which was required to conquer rest of the Europe. These 3 things made people unhappy about the Napoleon's rule. So in this way, because of these 3 reasons, increased taxes, introduction of censorship, and forced recruitment in the French army required for winning rest of the Europe, were the 3 main reasons why the reactions to the Napoleon's rule was not fully satisfied. So in this way, in this topic, we have covered 4 questions. Number 1, how French Revolution introduced the idea of the nationalism to Europe. What was the aim of the French Revolution? What was the civil code or the Napoleonic code, and why the reactions to the Napoleon's rule was not fully satisfied, why it was mixed. So thank you. I will stop here. Tomorrow we will discuss the next one.